All right, I'd like to give you some feedback on your logos. The idea of this draft critique assignment was for you to brainstorm and come up with 3 very unique ideas to communicate an organization, the essence of an organization. Now, this looks like it's going to be an ice cream shop for unicorn lovers, or maybe ice cream for unicorns to eat, or maybe just an ice cream shop called unicorn ice cream or something like that. I get that pretty quickly, actually, and that's great. That's indicative of a good logo. I kind of get the idea without having to think too hard. Some things that I would consider working on this logo. The first and the third ideas both incorporate unicorns that look like they've been copied from a My Little Pony kind of cartoon. They don't look unique. They don't look. They look like a cultural something that's going around, maybe copied from an internet graphic. So please don't use those. The shape of the ice cream, though, on the top and the bottom is good and can be turned into an icon that could work. The unicorn in the middle, it looks unique. It looks like it's been created new, and it could definitely be used for an icon, for a logo. Now, the difference here in the middle unicorn, because it's so geometric, it borders on the simplistic side rather than on the simple side. In fact, it could be made more simple and less simplistic by making the shapes less geometric and more organic. The mane is fairly organic and the horn is fairly organic, but the head shape and the ear shapes, the eyes and the nostrils, those are all geometric shapes. And that adds to the simplistic nature of the logo. So simple is good, but simplistic isn't good. You'll also want to make sure that you have some typography. I think that's a requirement for this project. But typography could really help us understand and remember something about this organization. Now, you don't have to use a big phrase or a catchphrase. It could just be an abbreviation. That would be great, but you do need to have some typography. And the typography will need to work with the icon as a unit. It'll need to be unified. All right, I think I'll move on to the next one. Whoops, if I can find it. Uh-oh. Here we go. All right, Camp Saban. All of these are fairly simplistic, and simple is good, but simplistic is not so good. Especially top and bottom are simplistic. This middle one has some nice, or is less simplistic. It has these moon kind of shapes are cool. Still, it's less communicative. I'm not sure what this communicates to me. Camp Saban doesn't look like a children's camp. It looks more like maybe a spa or I don't know. So think carefully about that. Think also about unity. So words that are closely related to each other should be close together and not separated by borders. Never stack typography this way. It's not pleasant. It creates some tangents and some some things that aren't visually aesthetic. So push simple but not simplistic, unified. Readability is really pretty good here and not too bad here. Readability here on this first one is not very good at all. Push uniqueness and make it more visually interesting. All right, salt and straw. You're on a really good track here. These little teeny tiny dots aren't working. They're too small. If you back up 10 feet, you won't be able to see them. You need to, if that's important, then you need to make them more seeable. I really like the top one. This one is less organized and isn't working quite as well. The bottom one is a really cool idea. So turn a salt shaker into a milkshake glass. Really like that. Your typography needs to be more readable from a distance, more unique, but you have a really good start here. I love the top of this salt shaker because it does have some organicness in it. Uh, this bottom part seems odd that these edges are so straight. I would think if we see the roundness here, I would think we would see roundness here as well. So think about that shape. Also the straw, make sure that it's seeable, that it's readable. When your logo is very small and from a distance, it needs to be more prominent, I think. But a good start. All right, looks like Hayley Romney Media. Something that I notice right off is that, how do I say this? It's not there. None of these is very unique. There's some good contrast here, some visual interest on all of these. Actually, some really good contrast, either between typefaces or sizes. That's excellent. Work on making this a unique logo. Something with an icon, but a simple icon. Can you make a pencil that's more iconic rather than realistic? I don't know if that makes sense, but think about that. And is a pencil communicative? So what is Hayley Romney Media? Is it a writing organization? What kind of media is produced? It's a little bit unclear. And not that you want to put all the media in there, but give me some sense of the personality of the organization. Each one of these definitely has a personality, but they're all very different. So think about what that personality, that organization really means to communicate. These three logos, American Legend, Legend Aircraft, really good start on some of these. I like the plane here, the wings here, the lightning bolt there. The only thing is that the icons are fairly simplistic. So you need to put some more thought and time into crafting these so that they're unique and communicative. Also think carefully about the typography that you use. For example, this particular font has been overused. It's almost a cliche font because it's been used so frequently. This is a nice font in that it's a little bit different and more unique. But the kerning, or tracking, the space between these characters is off. This font is a script, and each character should flow into each other character, but the spacing is off. Also, the space between these two words is really important to help unify this logo. And this plane is throwing our eyes off in that direction. The yellow and blue overlap is creating some tangents, so watch out for those. This doesn't feel like a unified icon. It feels like a shape with some text slapped on. Kind of this one too. Text just slapped onto a shape. No pixel-based graphics are allowed, so be sure you don't include this in this picture, the photograph of a plane in your final. Life wedding rings. Some nice ideas here, some good start. They all seem fairly complex and almost like an advertisement rather than a logo. I would leave "be active together" off of the logo. If you want that to be your catchphrase, kind of your jingle, or whatever it is that pulls people in and helps them understand you, that's great. But they don't belong on the logo. The logo is just an icon that represents the organization, and keep it as simple as you can. This almost feels more like a life insurance organization than a wedding organization. It feels very stodgy and stiff and formal. I guess you want some formality, but right now it doesn't seem like wedding rings. Uh, Center alignment might be hurting. I'm not sure. It might be fonts. Um, Need to be sure you have plenty of contrast. And um, maybe there's something about this shape. It's a good shape, but are rings perfectly round? And if they are they this plain? I don't know that I want to buy a wedding ring from a place where the rings are so plain and in a way ugly, um, if you know what I mean. Also, scale up. Think about scalability. So, if this was very small, what would happen to these really small little shapes? Same with these really small little things. They would just disappear and not be readable at all. So, make sure that you push that readability. This one has good readability. Uh, the contrast here is on this heavy line, and that heavy line is just decorative. So don't make something so heavy that doesn't carry any communicative weight. Bob's Bulbs or Vextal Media Communications. Looks like two different organizations. Not sure which one you're going to go with. The light bulb seems fairly generic, and these two ideas are really the same idea. There's not anything different. Um, Maybe this is a different logo. I'm just not sure what it is. If it goes with this or if it's on its own, that's not clear. This has some uniqueness in it. There's too many colors to start off with for a logo. Keep your colors really, really simple. Even do black and white. Make sure that it works, and then add just a tiny bit of color. That'll help make sure that will help you make sure that your logo has contrast and visual interest in it that doesn't rely on different colors to call attention. Try not to center align text. You did that, I think. Well, maybe you didn't do it here, but definitely here. This text is center aligned, I think. Almost. And push the uniqueness. This is bordering on simplistic and not simple. There are also some really good things happening here. This shape at the top is unique. It's not what I expected. Same with these shapes here. That's going in a direction that looks very logo-ish, very iconic. I'm just not sure what it stands for. I really like that you made your logo small on the page. I hope that everybody does that for their final. Please make your logos about this size on an 8.5 by 11. They shouldn't be huge because they need to have space between them, plenty of white space around them. I like that you've treated your typography here with care. The alignment here is diagonal, just like this character, this capital F. This is going in a great direction. I'm not sure what Freckled Face does. This seems very elegant, this typography, and these don't seem so elegant. The dots on the nose don't look like freckles. They look like something else. I'm not sure what. I think this top one is working better than these other two. You never want to stack text this way. Okay. This is a nice idea where you have the letter used iconically facing backwards, standing for freckled, and then this standing for face. It's a great idea, and they're united nicely, but there's not a lot of contrast here, and it's just not quite working as a logo yet. You back up about 10 feet from this, and the face, because it's only a thin line, is going to just disappear. Is there a way that maybe that could be thickened up so that it stands out more, and the typography maybe more elegant or more something, depending what your organization is. It'd be nice to understand what that is, but anyway, till we talk, I won't know what Freckled Face stands for. This looks very iconic. It looks very logo-ish. It's on the exact right track. Uh, the typography is working beautifully. It is center aligned, but there's also some justify alignment here so that the edges are aligned and there's strength on the left and the right edges. I really like this one. So far, my favorite. I think that that it's working. The only thing that's not working about it is its uniqueness. This could be anybody. This could be anything. This could be a graphic I downloaded from the web and kind of put them together. Kind of a hipster, build a hipster logo, uh, and all, any logo could be the same. I do like that you used a circle because photography and camera lenses are circular. So that is communicative and not just decorative. What could be done to make this unique? It's on the exact right track. So don't throw it out. Don't give up. This is a great start. This is a good start too. The text is really working as part of the icon. You have a lot of tangents where the text overlaps here, so watch that. Don't do anything that would make your logo, hard to read. Even black on blue, that's going to be hard. And dark on dark. So since you're using a gradient, the text works fine where the gradient is light, but it doesn't work where the gradient is dark. And even this word records is also really going to be difficult to read. But I like the idea that you're using this as part of your E, or it's incorporated in. I like the circle too because that's what records are. And, oh, this is a record. That's the little hole in the middle. Yeah, that's a good idea. Making that visually interesting, since it's just a circle, is tricky. And maybe that's what you were doing with the gradient and the red. But be careful not to add things that are just decorative, like this border doesn't really communicate anything. It's just decorative. And the red lines don't really add anything. They're just decorative. So keep pushing that. This is a good start. They're looking very iconic. This looks a little bit noisy, visually noisy. There's a lot of stuff going on. Simplify your lines and your colors and your shapes. Really the same thing here. Simplify. Could you incorporate this leaf idea somewhere in with your monogram, your icon, or your typography? This one at least is clean and clear and more simple. I like that, but fine art is really hard to read, especially when you back up 10 feet. I like what you've done with these two letters, and these two letters too. Nice try there, nice work there. But on this one and this one, keep pushing how your type is working together. These two letters are doing pretty well as a unified element. The square, not sure what that means. Maybe fine art on a canvas. I guess you could probably justify using a square here. But think about every single element. This decorative, whatever it is that doesn't seem like fine art to me. It seems a little random, sloppy, decorative. Anyway, nice start on this. Another one that's right on its way to being logo-ish. Eclipse Studios, what a great name. It makes it easy to create some very communicative logos because you have some eclipse kinds of messages happening. Well done. I like that you're really trying to make the typography work together here to make an E and an S. This is probably my favorite one, but it still needs to be pushed. This one, the text and the icon seem fairly generic and predictable. Same thing here. I don't think black is a good contrast with this dark blue. I'd either use black or use dark blue, but don't use two colors that are so close together. And your shapes, like these little shapes, even the little triangles, um, could you make them more unique? Um, this E, could you make it more readable? So those are some things just to think about and to push. This text on the bottom one and the text on the top one seemed like an afterthought. So you made your graphic and then you put some text on it. This one I like because the text is working with it and it's not just an afterthought. All right, concrete custom designs, relying a lot on color on these top two. Really, these three logos look like the same exact idea. So for this assignment, I don't know if you're going to get full credit for that because this should have been a brainstorming activity where you have three very different ideas. I like your typography though. It's very readable. I like the simple iconicity of these bars. Be careful of crowding. So anywhere that, like the top of this T, the side of the C and the C, they feel just a little bit too close to the bottom of this G. So this feels a little trapped in here, a little congested, a little claustrophobic. It would be nice if you had some contrast so that maybe these weren't all the same size. Which word is the most important? Make it stand out. It looks like concrete is trying to stand out with color, and custom is, each one of these has its own color and like it wants attention, particularly the orange one. If that's the one that you want to stand out, is there something else you could do to make it more obvious, especially down here, that you want something, that you have some contrast, I guess. Oh, this is a cool little icon up here. Tea-Tonic Tea Company. Yeah, really, really nice. The typography needs some help, some pushing, some work, but this icon is really cool. This icon is pretty cool too. It's a great start on something unique and simple. This icon isn't working quite as well. It looks, what's the word? I guess simplistic would be the thing. I wonder about taking this space out. We would probably get Tea-Tonic. That space feels awkward. Tea-Tonic Tea Company. Maybe the space needs in there. Generally, you want to pay a lot of attention to spacing. So do you see how the E and the A here look like they have a relationship, but the T and the E have less of a relationship? So the space between characters is called its kerning, between two characters, and you'll want to watch that so that the relationships are the same within a word. Really nice start here. Just work on that typography and incorporating it, unifying it with the graphic. Southern Charm, this is a good start. Somewhat generic and simplistic, but readable. This is working really well. Not sure what Southern Charm is. Can't read that. Can't read that. I'd probably leave that off. Is there something you can do to help me understand what this organization is and what its personality is? The top and the bottom one give me a kind of a scrapbooky, I don't know, like homemade maybe personality, like, I don't know. The middle one looks totally different. Doesn't feel like the same organization. So be sure you understand what your message is and who your audience is so that you can make your logo look like the personality of your organization and communicate a message to your audience. All right, looks like you did 3 different organizations, which I guess that's okay. That's not quite the point of this assignment. It should have been brainstorming 3 different logo ideas for one single organization. So let me just take one of these and give you some feedback. I really like this bottom one, so I think I'll take it. I love how communicative it is. I love how iconic it is, how readable it is. It's unique. Even though it's fairly simple, it's unique. Um, Dr. Vamp's Blood Donor Clinic. It's clever. Um, yeah, I really like that one. It's better than these other two. I'm not sure what I'd tell you to do on this one, actually. Maybe work on alignment. You have almost a connection here, but the strength is messed up over here. So maybe make the word clinic just a little bit bigger. Maybe experiment with some different fonts, because notice how the serifs really disappear when the text is small. It works on the big text, but on the small text, it's readable, but the serifs are fuzzy. Um, Maybe work on making the bat, uh, keeping it simple, but finding some organicness in it. Maybe even some playfulness, because this is a playful thing. Dr. Vamp's Blood Donor Clinic. You've got, vampire hints, um, big hints, I guess, more than hints. So just wonder what you could do to have a little more fun with this. But a great start, moon, bat, night, lots of personality being communicated here. Pyramid scheme production. That's funny. Um, because pyramid schemes are illegal. So, yeah, interesting to call an organization that. Uh, but pretty good start here. I think that your typography um, is tricky, especially as it gets smaller and we get farther away. It's going to be harder and harder to read. Outlining text might be necessary, but typically decreases the readability. It interferes with the shape of the text. Lots of tangents are going on here. Tangents are not good. It's where text overlaps other shapes and creates really small, unwanted focus areas. Also, uniqueness. I'd love to see something more unique. This is a cool shape down here on the bottom. Um, the text isn't really readable on it. So work that. Also, the text shouldn't feel like an afterthought. It should feel like it's part of your logo. The space between these words is way too much. It doesn't feel like they're unified. And give me some contrast so that something stands out. Pyramid is maybe the most important word. I don't know. Maybe production is. But give me some contrast. They shouldn't all function exactly the same. It will add a lot of visual interest if you give some contrast here. I'd love to see some more uniqueness. Okay, these seem fairly. I like how simple they are. Okay, can you keep that simple but add some personality, some uniqueness? Um, Personal, preserving your story. Yeah, that's a cool concept. I'd love to. I'd love to have an icon. Maybe that would help. You've got some fairly good contrast, but I think that could be pushed as well. Um, Maybe it's the name of the organization, personal. I don't know. Think about that. You might have, if you change that name, you might have come up with some other um, options for creativity. But it's a good start, especially how simple you've kept it, mostly type. I like that strong use of type. Okay, this is a good start. Uh, Kind of the same thing that I've said about a lot of them. Your shapes are they're going in the right direction. They're also fairly simplistic. You've got a little bit of congestion or tangent going on here, where these two leaves are eating up. They're kind of Pac-Manning eating the word association. Um, Help your text and your graphic really work together as a unit, so it's not graphic on the bottom, text on the top, graphic here, text, or graphic here, text here. this is a good, again, it's a good start. But the keep pushing the principles of good logos. So simple, unified, readable, unique, interesting, scalable, and memorable. One other thing I'm wondering about is this shape. Uh, if it's 3 leaves together, I wonder why their stems are all in the same place. There's something odd about this. Maybe it's a flower, or I don't know. It doesn't have to look exactly like a real thing, but it just seems a little odd and awkward. Also, when you turn in your final, be sure that this word up at the top is smaller and that your logos are just a little bit smaller so we can see how readable they are at a distance. All right, this is the last one. It looks like 3 of the, basically it's really the same idea. I'd encourage you to do some more brainstorming. There have to be other ideas for this organization. If this is your only idea, really all you've done is change the typography and maybe the colors, maybe the shapes a little bit. This one on the bottom I think is working the best. I can see clearly, that this is the white of the eye. This negative space here, I like that. A little bit tricky to read because the text's been distorted. A little bit tricky to read because the spacing between the characters is so small. Also, you've outlined the text, and that makes it hard to read. Anything you can do to increase the readability would be great. You might try all caps for part of this so that you maintain kind of a rectangular, the top and the bottom, a smooth line on the top, I guess. Then you wouldn't have things sticking up higher than other things. Do some more brainstorming here, and I like how simple and clear your idea is. What can you do to make it to keep it simple, maybe even make it more simple without having it be so simplistic? Like a little kid could probably do this, right? They could make these ovals and put them on top of each other and call it a logo. Can you make it both more sophisticated and keep it simple? It's a challenge. It is a challenging project. Keep working on it. I hope that's helpful to you all, and I'll see you in class. Come see me if you need to. I'd be happy to talk with you.